Hello, everyone. TorHoerman here from TorHoerman Law. I'm here with my partner of many years, Jake Plattenberger. Jake, first of all, so proud of you and grateful for all the work that you're doing. You've had an incredible last few years of trial work, uh, and I applaud you for that. We are taking that trial roadshow down to Georgia uh, on a case against Sterigenics. Can you tell us just a little bit about what that case is?
Yeah, of course. So thanks. We had a great year last year, and what that has the last many years, but what that's resulted in is we're getting these phone calls now. People want us to come to different parts of the country and help them try cases, which is great. So Sterigenics, as it's known, is a company that was using a chemical called ETO to sterilize medical supplies and medical equipment, right? So that's their business. They get the medical supplies from manufacturers, they sterilize them before they send them out to the hospitals. It's an incredibly dangerous chemical. It's a cancer-causing chemical. That's not really controversial. It's been known for decades to cause cancer. And Sterigenics did
So,
not the right.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. Let me ask you this. So, it sounds like this would be a case involving workers in a plant being exposed to a dangerous chemical, but that's not the case, right? Can you explain to us what the case is
Yeah. So
and
the
how
case
people
is
are getting hurt?
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, the case, this particular case is about, Sterigenics was venting this chemical out of the roof of the building and didn't have the right industrial hygiene controls or the right scrubbers on these vents. And so they were just venting ETO, this cancer causing chemical, out into the surrounding community. The facility is in a residential neighborhood. So our client and in this particular trial was just, you know, just a resident. She was just living her life and just happened to live in the neighborhood and was over decades exposed to ETO being vented out of the roof of this building.
Wow. So obviously, I don't mean to be sarcastic, but we've been doing this long enough. You would certainly expect a company like Sterigenics to make sure the community understood that they've been poisoning and causing cancer in neighborhoods for innocent people that have no idea. Did Sterigenics do anything to alert people like our client to this problem?
No, I mean not until they were caught, right? They knew for a long time how dangerous ETO is, how dangerous it was. They knew that they didn't have the proper environmental controls on the building, and they did little to nothing in terms of town halls or flyers or leaflets, to tell the people in the surrounding area about this. It wasn't until they got caught that there was any kind of public disclosure on their part.
So, it takes a lot of years for cancer to develop. Do you think that there's other innocent families, mothers, fathers, children in that community that may also still be in the process of developing cancers, or at least have the cancers present themselves symptomatically?
Oh, for sure. I mean, absolutely. The exposures didn't really get under control until certainly within the last 5 years, let's say. So yeah, absolutely. There's people that are on the path, to cancer, which, as you said, takes sometimes decades to be detectable. There are people right now that are on that path that live in that community and other communities where these types of businesses operate. That it just hasn't, shown itself yet. So
Yeah.
very sad, but I mean that's the reality of how cancer works, and that's one of the things that makes this type of corporate conduct so dangerous, right? Is that the we still don't know the full extent of the problem, and it's it costs lives, right? It's
Yeah.
killed people, and it will kill more people.
Well, that's the confusing thing sometimes for people that live in that community. Number one, it may be a situation where Sterigenics is finally, because they've been held accountable, because people have brought their knowledge and their lack of action to light, that they make changes. So it sounds like they've made changes to make the community more safe. But that doesn't mean people that were affected 5, 10 years ago
Yeah, no,
still don't
that's
have a case, right?
yeah. I mean, you can't go back in time, right, and undo those exposures. And the lawsuits have forced change, which is good. Um, and that's a lot of times what these types of lawsuits do. I think
Right.
that sometimes gets lost in the this debate that is always raging on about so-called tort reform and torts being out of control. It's like these companies don't make these changes until they're forced to, and the way that you force them to is you start taking money away from them,
Right.
um, and hold them financially accountable to the best of your ability, right? Because what everybody wants, who's a plaintiff, is to not be sick. There's no amount of money that's going to compensate somebody truly for them losing their health. Which the older we get, all of us know that is the single most valuable thing we have in this life is our health, the health of our kids, etc. So yeah, there are people who are going to get sick,
Yeah.
for which nothing can be done medically, right? Like the cancer will happen because of the exposures that they've had to this ETO already,
Yeah.
and we just don't know who they are yet.
One of the things I love, Jake, you used a word that sticks with me. One of the things I love about what we do in trying cases is letting people understand the distinction between responsibility and accountability.
Right.
Right? A company like Sterigenics, maybe they've taken responsibility and made some changes, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't be held accountable for what they've done for so many years to so many people. And that's what we do as trial lawyers. Is not only do we shed light and make companies take responsibility and maybe even make some change, but we also hold them accountable for the wrongs that they did, so that maybe they don't do them again in the future.
Yeah, I mean the way that I describe it to juries, and this was taught to me by an older trial lawyer. I used to stand up at trial and talk about responsibility, and he corrected me, right? He's like, listen, responsibility is something that you do on your own. Okay, when somebody else makes you do it, that's accountability. So the changes that they have made are good and needed to happen, right? Would I give them credit for taking responsibility? I probably would not. What I would say is they got held accountable, right? And we the plaintiffs bar and the plaintiffs who are the heroes of these stories, because listen, for us, we're passionate about it. We love it. And we really do. You can't work as hard as we work on these things without enjoying it. But, we're not sick. We're not being dragged through the mud. We're not taking a break away, from our jobs, because it is our job. Everything else in our life to be a plaintiff in a lawsuit, right? So it's the plaintiffs that hold these companies accountable, and we get to work for them and help them navigate the legal system. But if all we had was plaintiffs' lawyers, right, and no plaintiffs, there would be no accountability. So the real heroes of the story are always, and I know you know this, Tor. I mean, you taught it to me, and are the plaintiffs. The people who are willing to go through this, because it's not easy. It's
It
not
takes
easy. It's
courage,
not fun.
and
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and I want to say this in this case. It will take courage, but it also takes some knowledge, right? The companies like Sterigenics would love nothing more than to have this kind of be forgotten. So, Jane Smith, who's been living down the street, gets diagnosed with cancer. It's 10 years down the road. She has no idea to link this up. We want to continue to get the word out, and hopefully those courageous people can continue to hold this company accountable for what they did for so many years to make so many people sick. And I do want to stress that it is not easy to be a plaintiff, but it's worth it, because that is the courage and the bravery that we need to hold these companies accountable. We'll be there for you. You'll be there in March. You're going to hold them accountable. You and the team from THL, with the help of others, are going to hold them accountable. And
Yeah,
we would love to do that over and over again for all the people that they hurt.
yeah, for sure. And that's a really compelling part of it for most, maybe all of our clients in these really serious cases, because we do really serious cases. These people are really hurt and they're really sick, and it's going to cost a lot of money to care for them. It just is, right? Health care in America is expensive. That's a whole separate thing. But just the reality of it is, it will cost money, right? So they do need money to get the care that they need. But almost all of them say, will this help the next person, right? If me going
Absolutely.
through this, will this help the next person? And the answer, as you've just said, is yes, right? It will bring more attention. It will keep it in the news. Someone will see that, one of these people we've been talking about who's on the path to cancer. But, so when that does happen for them, because it will, sadly, for some of these people, they'll say, I remember Jane. She had this lawsuit. The same thing happened to her. Maybe that happened to me, kind of a thing. And so it really is. There's a part of it that's paying it forward. I mean, civil litigation, civil lawsuits are in large part about financial compensation to the best of a company's ability. It just is, and it's a good system. There's nothing wrong with that. It's worked for a very long time, but there is a part of it that's paying it forward for the next person.
All right, Jake, we are going to continue these periodically. The trial's set in March. We're certainly hoping that it goes forward. We look forward to trials. We don't try to settle out early, but if it's a good settlement, we'll obviously consider that, and we'll keep people updated. But we will continue talking about the prep. That stuff's kind of exciting, more so than people think. Getting ready for trials, experts, those types of things. So we'll continue the conversation. Thanks for hopping on today.
Yeah, man.
And we'll keep this going.
All right. See ya.
All right. See ya.